Hello, you're with Sam, and I thought I would send out a short 35 minute webinar that I normally present over an hour because I normally run it later at night and people can ask their questions. But because it's a busy time of year, I realize that a lot of people have commitments at night time. So I'm just going to do it during the day and send it out on a newsletter. Now, if you've got any questions at all, just hit reply on the email. There is also a lot of information on my website. And if you're not following at Hormones with Sam, that's my podcast. You'll find that on Apple and Spotify and everywhere else. So it's called, if you look up Hormones with Sam, it's there. Lots of articles, lots of blogs, lots of information. So let's start. And what I want to talk about is how to have a flat stomach. We're in summer now, 3 days into officially summer in Australia, and it's time to address the winter little cushion that needs to go for our health, first and foremost. Secondly, for our self-confidence, it's always great. And three, because if we don't get on top of it this year in the next couple of weeks, when are you going to do it? And it might take a bit of extra effort, a change, an investment of your finances. But once you get underway, at least you know you're in momentum and you're stopping it getting worse. Okay, so the slides I put together are from the master class that I normally run. But what I'm going to do is just flick through them and pause on the ones that I know are really relevant. So, excuse me, of course, I go to speak and I get a little in my throat. Sorry about that. Um, I am not a fan of dieting. The mindset of dieting means to people that they only have to do it for 8 weeks, then they can go back to being naughty again and think they're getting away with something. But it's a silly mentality. It's just fraught with this yo-yo phenomena where feel dieting, feel like you're being clean and being a good person. When you're not dieting, you feel naughty and everything's a guilt thing. Like that just sets up this hormone confusion behind the scenes. And it doesn't need to be like that. When you find food that suits you, this is me on the right hand side, I'll often swing in somewhere and have, very clean, gluten-free eating, water, wine if I feel like it. And it's all doable, but there are some things that you must do if you want to get away with eating fantastic food like I do in great locations around the world. Okay, so for those who don't know me, and most of you will do, I think I might just bypass this. This is on pre-records on the website, but I talk about what led me into the area of hormones and where I became a specialist. And look, predominantly it was around the fact that I had a Christmas party, I had a hormone implosion, and no one could really help me. And in terms of no one really from the outside saw what was happening, but on the inside, I died 1,000 deaths this particular night. And I went on a journey and I discovered that my male hormone testosterone was very high for a woman, as high as a man's, and all the implications that had for me as a woman, and how to manage that over my life, which became my best-selling book. I experienced this rage. I talk about it in previous recordings, or you can look around on YouTube if you haven't heard my story before and how I got into hormones. I'd already had a clinic. I had 5 staff, and on this particular night, 2 children, 4 degrees from university, but I decided to leave the marriage. And what I unpacked, and it turned out a lot of other women were in the same boat, is that there are all these niggling little symptoms. And if you went to a doctor with one of them in isolation, they wouldn't necessarily go, oh, well, that's that, and make these links. In fact, they wouldn't do that at all. Like if you go to a doctor and you've got thinning hair, they'll send you to a trichologist or a specialist in hair loss. They're not able, from their training, doesn't cover this stuff. And they're also not spending enough time with women to understand why we end up with hormone imbalances because it's all lifestyle driven, all of it. We're not broken. We don't need drugs. We need to address our lifestyle. Struggling to relax, a huge problem amongst working women and non-working women too. I hear it with women I play pickleball with. I'm so busy. And I go, what are you so busy with? You don't work. But they're very busy. So what I discovered after going to doctors and looking at textbooks and all the rest of it, there was little research. So one day I did a saliva test, and I'm a huge advocate of doing your own saliva hormone testing. I say that if you do not know your hormones as a woman, you do not know yourself. Um, And when I did mine, it was a real bingo moment. As I mentioned before, cortisol, testosterone were high, my progesterone was low. Similar to this, low progesterone, very high testosterone. That leads to belly fat, facial hair, anger, a deep voice, um, but also polycystic ovary syndrome, which is the leading cause of infertility. Leading cause in this country is very treatable through, or I'm not allowed to say the word treat in Australia, very manageable through lifestyle interventions. High estrogen, this pattern often leads to endometriosis, heavy periods, clotty periods, painful periods, and similarly with the low progesterone. So, because I had the five staff in the clinic, I said, let's go and ask all the other women how they're going. And we measured a lot. And to this day, I've done thousands of saliva testing. Incredibly, this is still the case, unless you come to me and we resolve it. But out there in the community, 8 in 10 women struggle to relax. They can't lose their belly. They've got belly fat, they feel bloated. They don't know what causes it. It might even start flat in the morning, bloated by the end of the day. There's reasons that that happens. That's not so much fat, that is true bloating. And if you eat too quick, you eat while your body is in an activated state, it will not digest. And yes, you will end up with um, trapped gas, undigested food matter, and bloated belly. But I'm also talking more specifically today about the cortisol fat ring that you get around your tummy. Many had low energy, many got angry, but women didn't say angry. They said they got peed off, irritated, short fuse, that sort of stuff. Um, and I wanted to understand what was going on. So I wrote a book, and this became a bestseller. It still is, best sells, hundreds of copies each year, discussing high testosterone in women, particularly in the corporate space, working space, business space. And it is still, to this day, the leading cause of infertility in Australia, and it can be managed very nicely with a couple of tips and hacks. So if you know anyone who's in that realm, send them to me, please. Should maybe be able to hopefully help them. Okay, so sugar and stress, they really goof up our hormones. And these are the things I specialize in if you didn't know. Menopause, burnout, infertility, PCO, weight, acne, menopause. This is my bread and butter in terms of my knowledge. I could talk about it in my sleep. I probably do. And, plenty, as I said, the podcast and a lot of other avenues go on TV, talking about it regularly wherever I can. You'll hear me talking about hormones because no one else in this country is, nor have the breadth of knowledge that I do or experience that I've had over the 23 years with this. So let's just hone in on having a flat tummy. So currently, if you go to a doctor, you're going to be sent to a dietitian. They're going to make you feel guilty by eating. If you're eating on a diet, you'll be a good girl or good boy. If you eat off that diet, you'll be made to feel bad. You're going to start counting calories. And what I've learned over the 23 years, this is not about calorie counting, full stop. If you take nothing away from this session, it is nothing to do with how many calories you eat. It's the type of calories and the physiology occurring in your body when you eat. Your hormones. If your cortisol's high, you can eat a carrot, it's going to get converted to fat. Medically, they may offer you stimulants, surgery, and Ozempic and Mounjaro. We now know that this is defunct. People cannot eat and drink lots of dairy products, cheese, milk, and be healthy, nor gluten. It does so much harm to the body, those two substances. There's plenty of other things that are non-dairy, non-gluten that are very beneficial for the body. And just back to that slide before, if you got to read it, there are 300 newly diagnosed diabetics every day in Australia. Every day, 300 more people. It's about one every 8 minutes. So I say to people, well, if the diet phenomena with dietitians was working, wouldn't that number be going backwards? Instead, we're creating more. And that's the model. GP, go to a dietitian, and we create diabetics. So based on evidence-based medicine, there before our eyes, the system seems a bit broken. Duramine, caffeine, guarana are awful. They make people very stimulated, and majority of people, particularly if you're suffering with PCO endo or you're going through menopause, this will make you exhausted. It's like going on speed, and that's what Woman on Speed comes up with on Google. Okay, let's talk about this GLP-1 agonist. So these are things like Ozempic. Back in the day when they first came to Australia about 6 years ago, I was going, look, they had a listing for diabetics. Certainly, they've saved some people's lives where they have been unsuccessful. I get that. But they were then prescribed off script, or people started getting them for private use. And it was always published, a bit like every other drug that's been published on the FDA. It causes thyroid cancer in a percentage of people. It causes pancreatitis, pancreatic cancer. Like that's all documented. It was all there in the phase 4 studies. So it's not surprising now that we're starting to see lots of pushback on these drugs because people are coming through with these cancers. And it's, if you haven't seen Ozempic, it's jabbed into your belly every 4 weeks. It could go every 3 weeks. Some people will do it more frequently if they've got a ball coming up and they want to shed weight. So this is a little bit old. This is the studies that showed that, yeah, sure, people lose weight. This, though, I did on the 14th of August in 2025, and I put in Ozempic on the government website, which all of you can go and do. TGA, that's the governing body in Australia, not the FDA. So we've got the TGA. You go to the data of adverse events notification. You can put in any drug. You could put in methotrexate. You could put in the oral contraceptive pill. You can put in Ozempic, like I did here. Semaglutide, 22 deaths from that drug alone in Australia. Notwithstanding that all the side effects are pretty horrendous. 1 in 10 is going to feel like vomiting. Plenty of people get diarrhea, tummy pains, gastritis, etc. Now, Mounjaro came out nearly 2 years ago now in Australia, meant to be cleaner, easier, etc. Still 2 deaths since it's been out that have been linked with this. Now, you've got to understand with this system, the reporting system, it's really difficult to get something reported because it's about a 50-page document, no one bothers. Then there's surgery, which I think is medical mutilation. They go in, the most common thing at the moment is gastric sleeve, surgical, so you're under a general anaesthetic, which comes with risk. You might have been overeating because you're emotionally traumatized, but instead, let's go and cut out a body part as opposed to working with you as a whole person. Slice out 2/3 of your tummy, throw it away. It's not kept on ice in case you change your mind, it's gone. And what we're finding with a lot of people with sleeves, as we did with bands as well and bypass, they end up malnourished. So they end up with a range of other things. So let's talk about what you can do naturally. And I'm talking a bit quick because I want to bring this home in the next 20 minutes because I know your time is valuable and it's a very busy time of year. So food is foundational. Now, I live on my own at the moment and I am still cooking amazing meals because it is foundational. I go to the markets on a Thursday or a Saturday, I talk to my farmer, I get the veggies, and off I go. You might be tired at the end of the day. We'll do what I did. So, on today's recording is Wednesday. Tuesday, I cooked up a big dish with chicken, all these veggies, and that now I have meals for the next 3 nights. And I don't get sick of the meals because they're so delicious, but I'll mix it up with other meals as well. Oh, the lollies. I'm just about to say the lollies in the top drawer. If you're serious about having a flat tummy, the sugar has to be minimized. We have to address the white elephants in the room. If you've got lollies that call your name, stop buying them. There is a lot of information out there that is wrong. You have to pay attention to what you eat and what you drink. It's really important. And I understand when you're tired or if you're eating out a lot, you might think this is just too hard to start. I've got 8-week eating plans that take care of all of it, and they're just backstop. So these are some of the foods in the eating plans, these delicious chickpea patties. You can make a stack of them, freeze them, drag a couple out, defrost them, yummy salad, some chutney. On these eating plans that I have, and I show people how to eat, you don't count calories. You learn to love yourself, nourish yourself with principles of eating: protein, carbohydrate, never, ever carbohydrates on their own. So veggies and fruit are fine. Carbs aren't dirty words. But we do have to reduce the things that do not add any value or substance to your life, such as dairy. Dairy confuses the gut wall incredibly. A lot of people with underactive thyroids, endometriosis, acne, headaches, migraines, cellulite will have dairy-driven phenomena or adverse events. Sugar. Sugar's everywhere. Cakes, lollies, macaroons, especially around this time of year. Just look at the food that people are bringing out for the Christmas spreads. it's going to be about 50% sugar to 60% sugar. Just stop, say no. Just be, no, I'm not going to do it to my body. And I'll show you why it's important. And then things like white stuff, breads, pastas, rice, unless you're an athlete, you really don't need it. At the end of the day, we want to avoid an insulin spike in your body. Now, an insulin spike looks like this. Now, this might be healthy. Wake up, oh, I'm going to have fruit salad and a coffee. But because it's all sugar, it's all carbohydrate, there's only sugars, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. There's only three food groups. So even a fruit salad with some yogurt, all sugar, up goes your blood sugar, come into work, 10 o'clock. Oh my God, I need something else. My energy's slumped. Look around, look around. I know, I'll have another piece of fruit or one of those macaroons that someone bought in, and up goes your blood sugar again, comes down around 11:30 because insulin's gone and done its job. People, you look at them at the office, they're just hanging for lunch, and what they're going to do is going to have focaccia, sushi, rice, some other carbohydrate-rich food, which is then going to make them do this throughout the day. Every time you spike your sugar, you make fat. Every time you drop your blood sugar, you make fat. That's called lipogenesis. So what we've got to do to avoid this insulin spike is we've got to add in protein. Now, proteins are animals or things that have walked around on the earth or swim in the ocean. They tend to be high in protein and they stop that swing. So you end up with that nice green line I was showing you before. If you're vegetarian, you're going to have to really draw in on your nuts and seeds. Hemp seed, flaxseed, spirulina, also very high in protein. So my first tip, never eat carbohydrates on their own. Only eat them with a protein. Now, if you emotionally eat, start with a big salad, then finish with a protein and some healthy fats. Your body does need a variety of different coloured vegetables, and I say eat rainbows, and then you should be able to get all the different spectrums, vitamins and minerals that those hopefully organic vegetables are providing you. Now, if you go to the local markets, the farmers markets, this is a call out to support our farmers. People are, oh yeah, I want to support our farmers. I'm like, do you? Why do you keep buying at big supermarkets? And that's not supporting farmers. They screw our farmers down. We go direct wherever we can. You get it delivered if you can. People say, oh, it's a bit more expensive. What is more expensive than getting sick? So we've got to look after ourselves as best we can. So shop at your fresh markets wherever you can. You'll save lots of money. Now I'm going to skip over this one, but reducing the size plates, reducing utensils also makes a big difference to how much people eat. You can see there the pizza, same size pizza, looks a lot more filling on a smaller plate than it does on a bigger plate. Now, if you do have a sweet tooth, and hey, it is the season, you have to exercise. If you like alcohol, you have to exercise. When we exercise, we open up the cells so we don't need insulin to get the sugar in. So there's this golden opportunity. It lasts for about 30, 40 minutes after consuming carbohydrates, after exercising, where the cell is open and will receive the sugar without insulin. So if you like chocolate, go for a walk first. So you must exercise if you like wine or chocolate. And exercise is great because it's good for your bones anyway. Now, this is just an example of what high cortisol, which will happen when we're stressed or when you're working, your brain is activated and on. Now, if you go and eat food when your cortisol's high, cortisol already tells insulin to go in high numbers. So you've got this double whammy of insulin, which means you're going to make fat. We cannot eat when we're in a stress state. We cannot eat when our brain is on. Marie came and saw me about 2016. That's her on the left. It was about 8 weeks, 6 weeks or 8 weeks later. I think it was 6 weeks later, she dropped 8 kilos. And that's because we tweaked around, we got rid of dairy, all the white stuff, did a saliva test on her, saw what needed fixing. That's how dramatic it can be. And she followed my eating plans. Now, um, this will be more about hormones. So belly fat, as I mentioned before, is too much sugar, too many hard carbs at once, or maybe, eating too many cheesy pizzas, or stress while you're eating. Now, what I'm about to share with you now is absolutely revolutionary. If you can get your mind around this, this will change your life. When we've got high testosterone here, so even though it's not in the red, it's 167, that's too high. Testosterone competes also at the cell wall with insulin and it leads to belly fat. but it's also indicative of a woman who's stressed. We put up our testosterone when when we're under time pressure, or we're running late, or we've got deadlines, or we're at work, or we're working with men. We put our testosterone up. When that happens, we put our insulin levels up. When that happens, we gain fat a lot quicker, specifically around the tummy. It's a survival hormone. It's called the fight or flight system. When you're in that state, you are not wanting to eat and digest. You might be wanting to eat, but your body is not primed for digestion. Got to rest and digest. So there's only two states. You're either on, which is called sympathetic, or you're off, which is called parasympathetic. If you're on and you go and eat, you're going to gain fat. You need to switch that dial down so you're in the relaxed state before you eat. So look at this person's cortisol, 127. I remember this person now, and very low testosterone. They were wired but very tired. So there's no way any diet in the world is not going to work for this person until we get the cortisol down, start switching the brain off when we go to eat, and then things will start to happen. So if your brain is on, your gut will be off. You're going to be secreting that cortisol, the stress hormone, the testosterone, the stress hormone, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all of them are going to push your insulin up. We only should be eating when our brain is switched off, and that enables the tummy and the digestive system to switch on. Now, it will take 10 minutes from when you leave work to go to eat, go for a walk. I used to have a touch tone for this, I do a lot of corporate speaking. I'd say, leave your desk, go over and touch this stone and come back, and then, ideally eat outside away from your desk. Few things happen. It enables the right hormone state to kick in. It also means your body and your stomach receptor sites are more attuned to when leptin, which is our hormone we release when the gut stretches, goes up to the brain and says you're full. That takes 20 minutes to kick in. If you eat in 5 minutes and you're not even thinking about it, that's not going to kick in. You'll go back and you'll overeat. So, stress hormones make you gain fat if you eat when you're stressed. Switch your brain off, make sure your tummy's on. Oops. That's what that last tip would have been, I think. I don't think I can go back. Okay, so hormone tips. Turn your brain off. That way, digestion and your gut can be on. Here's another example of that high cortisol. They won't lose weight until we get that cortisol lower. So, as I mentioned before, try and slow the eating down. That enables leptin to kick in. So slow down, sit down, and enjoy eating. I'll leave Kelly, but she also, was very fit and healthy and just couldn't lose the belly fat. We did a saliva test. We found her testosterone was too high. Helped lower that with a couple of little strategies. Very easy. And happy days, lost weight, felt more energized, etc. I do the hair test as well, which I'm a huge fan of. It'll tell us if you're low in the B group vitamins, zinc. All these things are really important. Look, this person has to restrict sugar. So it gives us additional information about where your body's at, biotin's produced in the gut. Like, it just gives me a lot more holistic approach to your body. And you'll find that when you do these two tests that I recommend, the saliva testing, the hair testing, one, you feel validated. Two, you've got something to work with. So you know where you're at now and where you need to be. Three, it saves thousands of dollars with all these fads that you could be doing until you address your hormones, and two, until you know your hormone levels, the rest is going to be just flushing it down the loo, really. I do support people. So, I run a coaching clinic. I give people accountability. I've got a 3-month program that's multiple touch points. It's the hair test, the saliva test. We work together for 3 months. That enables us to get your hormones balanced, and then we should start to see weight loss in the last month, maybe earlier, but I don't like setting people up for that expectation, because the whole idea is that we work together to get your body into a healthy state for the rest of your life. Reach out on the end of this, just click reply email if you're curious about my 3-month program. And I'd suggest getting in, because next year my corporate commitments are taking off, and the 3-month program is going to be minimized, like people I can have in there. But honestly, it's the best way to turn your life around, because I get to know you really well. We work together for a lot of time, and we'll start off with a discovery call. So I'll also put that at the bottom of this email. Book in for a discovery call or actually just do that. Book in for a discovery call and we'll get on a call and discuss where you're at and if I think the program is suitable for you. Um, so support is important. I see lots of people that go off, oh, in the new year, I'm going to do this, 8-week thing, and I'm going to do this, and they get all excited. 2 weeks in, they've stopped. It happens across everything. Financial programs, weight loss programs, change your thought it just happens. You need accountability. Here's another person that had that low progesterone. They're probably flushing. Shana was another success story. Lots of them, lots of them. But if you're really serious, as I've mentioned, I think it's important that you need to get the data, particularly if you're busy. And it's not that it's tricky, it's just it just means that you're going to sharpen the axe. So you've got everything you need before you launch into this. And I really think people tell me, oh, I don't have the money now, whatever. I go, well, you'll never have the money. If that's your attitude, you're going to find the money. If you want to get healthy, you will find money. We always do. Everyone does. So here's what I'd like to suggest. And please, as I said, I've got my 3-month program, or I've got this flat stomach one as well. So we do a saliva test on you. The cortisol, um, I think I'll do it as a Christmas gift. I'll do it over the day as well, free of charge. The hair test and a private session with me. So get your own levels. If you don't know your levels, if you've never had this done as a woman, please, it is the best spend of money. You do not know yourself unless you know your hormones. Your own hair test. Like I just showed you a little clip of it before, but it's fantastic. Like in this person, it told us their adrenal system was struggling, their hormones were out, they needed emotional rebalancing. And look, they're low on iron, vitamin D, really important information to know and helps you just improve your overall health, but possibly save disease, or if you've got something going on, help manage that as well. You get a one-on-one session with me. I look at your supplements that you're taking. If you are taking any, we refine them so they're more appropriate for you and come up with a few health hacks. Talk about family history, the whole lot. So it's your opportunity to really dive deep, sort out where things are at so we can help you moving forward. Now, this is available now online and it's called my Core Health Program or the Flat Stomach Program. But what I'm going to do, so today is the 3rd of December when I'm recording this, I'll send this out later tonight. I will give you until Saturday, 6 p.m. If you put the order in, I will give you one of these free books, hard copy. I'll post it out to you. You'll get it before Christmas and you can give it away or read it, whatever you like. So I've got a few books in stock. I might have one of the menopause ones. I'm not too sure. So just to recap, you get those testings, you get a consult with me, you get a free copy of one of those books. It's 1644. You can order it from here. So it's on the website /product/Sam's Clients. But when you go to my website, if you forget this, I'll also put it in the email so you can click on that link. You have to act though in the next 3 days if you'd like that free book. And let's get things started. So if we do the saliva test this year and your hair test, everything's sorted by the new year, 2026 is going to be a brand new year for you. And you need this information so you can make those changes and get your mind around what things haven't been working for you and what things you can introduce. So next year you will get on top of this. You'll get that flat tummy. And if you haven't been successful to date in that space, it's because you haven't probably done these tests. So and if if someone's looking to buy you a present, get them to buy you this. I'm going to finish this here now, so I can send this off. And any questions, look around the website or get back to me on the email. I'm really looking forward to helping everyone with this issue in 2026. All right, see you later. Bye.